Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Choir Practice. I'm Bernie Hallam's co-host of the show. We're really excited today about a super special guest, a personal friend of mine. I am so excited to do this interview. On to my partner in crime, first and foremost.
What's up, everybody? So this is an honor, man. It is an absolute honor and a blessing to have you here. We're going to dive into the Chief and his backstory in a bit. We like to open up every episode now with a word of prayer, if you're good with that.
Absolutely.
Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to tell this Chief story. We thank you for putting this man in the position that you did and for helping him to guide these families and the community through some of the most difficult times that anyone could ever go through. Lord, we believe that the men and women who serve our communities and our country are truly the shepherds, not just the protectors, but also the shepherds that guide our communities, that help restore our relationships with law enforcement and within our communities. And Lord, we're just so grateful that you have given us the blessings of these men and women. We ask you to keep them safe every single day, to protect their hearts, to protect their families, and to just help this community to continue to grow in our relationship with law enforcement. We ask all this in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So, I don't know, it's been about a month ago, and I'm watching the news and I hear, hey, breaking story, Chief Brian Gould's retiring from Bristol. I'm like, oh my God. You know, I'm looking, searching my phone. I think I have his cell phone number. So I text him a message of congratulations and love, because I truly love you.
I love you too, Bern.
And he comes back with, thank you so much. And, by the way, I hear you're on a podcast. I'd be honored to be on there, right? Yep. I texted him at 11:30 that night. Dude, we got a whale. We got a whale.
He tried calling me 7 times.
It was hilarious, right?
Whale or sucker.
Oh, man. I just was so excited. And, so thank you, first of all, for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into your career first, because we'll talk about the last couple of weeks and everything else in between. But, let's get into this, man.
Yeah,
I've seen,
I'm looking forward to it.
We've been kind of on the list of your rendezvous with all these other outlets, doing a lot of interviews, which has been amazing. So I've kind of cheated to try to avoid some of the stuff that people probably already know. But let's talk about your law enforcement career. 30 years.
30 years.
All in Bristol.
All in Bristol. I'm a franchise player and proud of it. That's right. Yep.
And never wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting story. It's kind of odd. I graduated high school and I went into college and I started studying business. And listen, it really wasn't working out. It wasn't working out for me. It probably wasn't working out for them. It was just not something that was really working out overall. And I was in the gym a lot doing working out. And I met an individual, but back then we didn't have cell phones and all that, so I really didn't know too much about him. We just liked to hit the weights together. And one day he was a little late coming to the gym, and when he showed up, he was in uniform. And I was like, it sounds weird to say it now, but I was kind of like shocked. I was like, oh man, this guy's a police officer, and it's significant what that meant to me back then, because I didn't really have a lot of interactions with police officers. I'm a first-generation police officer, so I didn't have it in the family or anything like that. And back then, at that time, you only saw the police if it was something not good going on, So I didn't have a lot of contact at the human level. And I was like, this is a really good guy, just a great person, and likes the same things I like. And so literally started asking some questions. And I'll tell you, it was something ignited from inside. I was immediately attracted to the profession. It was that calling that I believe in. There was something inside me that said, I don't just want to do this. It's like a need. I have to do this. And, I remember going home and telling my parents at the time, I'm going to go into law enforcement. And they were like, what are you talking about? Where did this come from? And I said, the gym, the gym. And so right away, he helped me switch over my majors and all that. And I started interning with a police department. And that was it, and right there and then, I just knew that this is what I only wanted to do but needed to do. Started back then, the applicant pool was huge, very competitive process. So you literally scanned the papers looking for ads, and you didn't have your choice of departments where you wanted to go. You really had to put your name in a bunch of different hats and hope that you made it through their process. So Bristol was hiring. I started doing some research on Bristol, and I applied, and boy, they took a chance on me, and I'm so grateful for the city of Bristol for taking that chance on me. So started my career in 1994, and there was no looking back for sure.
And for those in the younger generation, what Chief is talking about is, like myself too, when you applied for a job, there might be, 1,000+ people for 4 or 5 positions. Now there's, there's 4 positions and maybe 20 people that show up to take the test. And if they pass the test, a lot of them get drummed out in the poly and all that stuff. So it's a different world.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's a powerful world,
Yep.
right? Because you worked a lot harder to get to where you were. And I think, your discipline, not to pick on younger officers, but your discipline was much different.
Yeah.
Because you felt like if I'm not working out, they're going to get rid of me.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of people waiting to take my spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and so it's just been, so I started my journey. I walked into the Bristol Police Department, and with the one and only goal, I just wanted to do the best possibly that I could do to be a police officer and serve that community, and was very fortunate to have many more doors open up along the way. And, just a truly blessed, wonderful career. And in 2015, in October of 2015, I was very fortunate to step in as the interim chief over there, and it became permanent in April. So I had a great ride as serving those great men and women that I got to serve with. And boy, they are something special. And it's been a great ride, Bern. It's been a great ride.
Yeah, and the thing I will say to you is, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I want to remember something that, when I went to see you on your last day, and there was a woman in front of me, and she came over. She said something to you. She hugged you. She said, "God bless you. I love you." She walked over, and I was standing with one of your lieutenants, and she said, "That man." And I said, "Yeah, he's amazing, right?" She goes, "He's done more for me than he told me I had to call him for something." And she said, "I'm a nobody. And the first thing he said to me is, 'You are somebody. I took your call. You're a very important person.'" That is kind of for me, that shows who you are, because you hold that line in every aspect of your career.
Yeah.
It's so weird in this day and time, and it's not Chief's faults, but you get those rank and file members who just don't get it and make life a little more difficult for outstanding chiefs to thrive. That is not the language in Bristol.
Yeah, and I'm the first to admit that it took me a long time to grow and mature in my career as well. I started out, and certainly we're all in positions, and one of the things as a CEO that you have to realize is mistakes are going to be made, and it's how you approach those mistakes, right? Like, those are learning opportunities, and they're going to be there, and it's like, listen, let's see these mistakes, let's take ownership of them, let's come up with a solution, and let's move forward. And that's what it's all about. And it took me a little while to mature and understand that, but once I started to understand that I'm there to serve the great people that are serving the community, that's the function and that's the role that I needed to step into and wanted to be in. I'm a big believer of, if you want the outside handled appropriately, you need to take care of the inside and take care of it. Make sure that they're well, make sure they're equipped, cared for, trained, so that they can go out and do what they took an oath, which was to protect and serve their communities. And it's very difficult for people to go out and do that if they're lacking that appreciation on the inside. So take care of the inside, and the mission will execute itself. It really will.
Yeah, and I think part of your mission is your community policing. Your concept, and your officers are out there in that community and they're representing. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful thing, and we started that, earlier in Bristol. We took a couple different approaches to it, but it was very important. Once you start to really understand service and what service is all about, and that you are serving a community. And that means partnerships and engagements. And taking that a little step further, one of the things that I started to really look into and dive into was, how do we turn a partnership into a friendship? Because once you become friends, it's harder, and it just becomes more important to you, because you don't want to disappoint and let down a friend, you know? So if you can establish friendships, and it becomes solid. So encourage those great men and women to go out there and engage with the community every chance that they can get. And we really moved from a traditional style of policing, where, you know, and this isn't just Bristol, this is law enforcement wide, Connecticut wide. You know, I've a group of chiefs that decided to surprise me here tonight that are very good friends, and I love them dearly. But those are the people that I watched and learned from too, right? It's all about that. And when you start to see that engagement, partnership, friendship, and you stand behind that, you know, we saw it. We saw the return on investment when we went through a horrific tragedy.
Absolutely.
And it's so important that they're just not out there enforcing the laws. They're out there truly helping and trying to make people's situation a little bit better. And if you can connect with them early on, especially at the youth, it's so important, you know? So big believer of, if you're driving by a game out in the field or on the basketball court, stop, get out, go play a little ball, you know, go engage, go have fun. And I think that's another thing that sometimes we miss is have fun, enjoy the job. There's plenty of opportunities where it's not going to be fun. So let's make some fun out of it.
Yeah, and you know, your career over its 30 years has spoken for itself, and it's spoken through your strong leadership, and it's also spoken through an extreme time of tragedy. And let's talk about that a little bit, if we could.
Sure.
You know, just for some people don't actually know what happened. Please go ahead and.
Yep. You know, I'll never forget that night. You know, we get a lot of different calls throughout the night as time's going on, and you know, you're always kind of thinking that you might get that phone call, but you're never truly prepared for it. And you know, unfortunately, on that date on October 12th, my phone rang, and it was one of the deputies informing me that we had 3 officers shot. They were ambushed, and we had a strong suspicion that 2 of them were killed right there and then, and that the 3rd one was seriously injured, and it was believed that he was not going to make it as well. So, you know, I'll never forget where I was. I actually kept my phone in a separate room so it didn't wake up my beautiful wife every night. And so I was standing in there, and I remember trying to absorb it all, and you know, just that coming into you, there's no preparation for that. You know, and just a million things start going through your mind. But I realized in that moment that there wasn't time for me to like stop and try to process and try to understand or think things through. Like I needed to get into the police department so that I could be with those great people. And you know, it was a crazy situation, because you're going into the situation, trying to learn about the situation, but you have to be there for everybody, and you know, so, and I'll tell you, and that's where I'm very fortunate that I have a great group of friends and peers, you know. And that night, the moment that it started getting out, I had phone calls, and I had people on scene there, and you know, a couple of great friends to see, you know, Chief Scott Sansom, who then was the chief of police from East Hartford. He was actually out on scene there at the location, along with his deputy, who's you know, Hawk, who's now Mac, who's now the chief of East Hartford, because they've gone through a dynamic shift over there, and really one of the people that came directly to me was Paul Melanson, you know, the chief of the Avon Police Department. He ended up calling me up, and it was interesting, right? Because I'm getting a lot of calls like, hey, you know, I can come over, I can help out. And, you know, of course you're like, thank you, but, you know, we're good at the moment, or as good as can be, you know. And Paul was like, he didn't give me the option. He said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in moments, you know. And thank goodness for Paul being there, because Paul was just right there to, you know, give me that opportunity to go through my process with him, understanding that we had work to do. And, you know, I've coined the phrase that everybody needs a Paul, you know, and I so believe in that, to have that person there. But, yeah, and, you know, fortunately, if there's any benefit, one of our heroes that was shot was able to stay in the fight, and after assessing his injuries, was able to make his way back to a tactical position, and you know, with such precision, was able to, with a single shot, you know, take out the threat immediately, bleeding profusely for himself. And then another one of his officers came in and applied a tourniquet to him, saving his life. So I just an incredible team of people coming in to help out. So, you know, the situation itself, once it had been contained and controlled, it was on to the next steps of, you know, meeting up with those beautiful families and, you know, informing them of what happened and going through that process, and something that will live with me forever. And, you know, every moment that I start thinking that, you know, something's, you know, going wrong for me or something like that, I look right at the Hamsey and DeMonte families, and I just gather such strength from them, and I'm amazed by them, and they have no idea. I've expressed to them multiple times, but how much they brought me through this incident. They're very special people, and you know, listen, at the end of the day, that entire police department, the Bristol Police Department, came together. Our community came together, and when I say community, I mean law enforcement, all first responders. We had everybody, fire, EMS, military, you name it, they were there. The city of Bristol, wow. Mm-hmm. The city of Bristol, I mean, going back to what you were talking about with that community policing, you know, I've said Dustin and Alex and all those other great men and women, all that investment they had been putting in years before, you know, we saw the return on that with their love, outpouring, caring. And, you know, I knew as I was going through all that and looking out, and I said, boy, you know, we're blessed. We're just blessed to be able to serve such a great community. And it just kept going. The state showed up, the nation, the world, you know, we heard from all over. So out of an extremely horrific situation, because it was horrific, those three beautiful men, especially Dustin and Alex, they didn't even get an opportunity. You know, they didn't even get a chance, which is just too bad, you know. And but it brought a lot of love and you know, a lot of togetherness, and you know, so now we're in the place of honoring all those that have fallen, and never forgetting who they are, and never forgetting their families, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and you know, just a little personal part. You know, I went to bed that night with looking at my phone and saying state police is responding to Bristol. That's all I knew going to bed, because it was well after the 11 o'clock news.
Right. Yep.
I wake up that morning and my TV was on, and Fox 61 on the bottom. I start crying. I think about you, because he blew me off for lunch 3 weeks prior. We were supposed to get together for lunch. Remember, you had the golf tournament.
Yes.
He dropped you off a card and stuff.
Which I can't play, by the way. And these guys know that. I show up to play with them, and yeah. So I apologize, because it's not
it was
like I'm
fine.
out there doing something productive. I can tell you that.
But you know, the advantage was, you know, I left you the card and the coin, and you know, I hope that what was in there held true, because here we are, fast forward. So I'm like, how do I get involved? How do I show my love for my brothers and sisters down there? So the Friday night when they processed, I went down and kind of connected with some of the EAP folks. And next thing you know, hey, come on in the back. And we're there, and you turn the corner with your bodyguard. I call Paul Melanson your bodyguard, because
he was something. Let me tell you, I got to tell you, I said, I'm lost without him. I got to tell you, he disappeared from my life. And it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing because he had everything, it was great. He had a book, he had it all scheduled out. I was like, I kind of getting used to Paul being around, And I got separation anxiety because all of a sudden he just left. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing anymore, Paul. Get back here.
It was unbelievable. But before I saw you, the procession, and I show up, and I am, with my teaching, I'm a firm believer that what you give, we write checks of love all the time, and we hope to never cash them.
Yep.
What you and your police department and those women and men have done was paid and then some. To park my car and to walk over, and there's probably 2,000 people at that procession.
Unbelievable.
And when the SWAT vehicle came up, I know a lot of people didn't know that
Alex was
in there.
Yep.
And the people are yelling and they're screaming, "We love you. We're so sorry. We support you. We're here for you." It was unbelievable. The amount of strength and leadership that you demonstrated through that time is unparalleled.
Oh.
Because my thought process, is, okay, he's going to repeat these hugs 1,000 times.
And loved every one of them.
Yeah. And he's going to, and I'm like, I know he has a strong, amazing family, who's taking care of his backside.
Yeah.
I said, because you just kind of said, God bless, God bless. And that community support was absolutely.
It was amazing.
It was.
It was amazing.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I felt like they put their arms around the police department. I have never, and from, that week, which I affectionately call it the week Connecticut cried. Yeah. That's what I call it, because we all cried that week. And then, to go to the funeral and just the way it was handled and the blue lights, and we say a sea of blue when police officers are at funerals. This town was a sea of blue. I have never seen so many blue lights. And still, you can drive through the streets of Bristol now and you will still see not back the blue, back the Bristol Police Department.
Yeah.
That community loves their police.
They took but I want to say this too, their police, the Bristol Police loves their community,
no doubt.
Right? So it's a two-way street there for sure. And, I'm a big believer in, love hard and you'll receive love back, and it's great. A pilot took a shot at nighttime over Bristol, and that went viral, and they estimate that, somewhere in the area of 90% of 60 plus thousand residents had some type of blue light on their house. And to have that aerial shot at nighttime, you literally can see Bristol outlined with blue, and it's an incredible shot. It's wild, and I'll tell you, and it hit the whole state.
It did.
You could go across into different towns, and blue lights everywhere. Blue lights everywhere.
The street signs, everything.
Everywhere.
You're driving on the highway, and the signs are supporting, Bristol Police Department.
Chief, I've got to ask you this. So a few weeks ago, I was in Texas, and I got to sit down with the police chief in Austin. And she was sharing the story about an officer that was killed in the line of duty from their agency last year. And I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked her, which is that the sad reality of it is that this will happen again somewhere else in the country. And as a chief, you mentioned that in that moment when you got that call, you didn't have time to process it. And I'm assuming in the weeks following it, you didn't have time to process it. You're there for the families, you're there for your staff. When you finally do have that quiet, how did it hit then, and how did you begin your journey of grieving? Well,
that's a great question. I appreciate that a whole bunch. I am a big proponent of officer wellness. We started officer wellness programs in our PD early on. I believe 100% in seeking professional assistance. We have, that's always been a bit of a stigma. Not just in law enforcement, in general, right? And we've gotten better at acknowledging that. And I've always said we have no issues going to see our physicians on a yearly basis, going for physicals, getting our cholesterol checked, our blood pressure checked, and all that. And we forget one of the most important things, and that's our head. And again, if you can be preventative, start seeking. So I had a good support ahead of time. I'm just like on a bicycle, right? For those that ride bikes and those that don't have bikes, but a very important part of the bike is the wheel and the spokes on the wheel. If they become a little loose, the wheel becomes a little out of balance. And if you maintain and tighten those spokes every now and then, and I've had my spokes tightened quite a bit, you'll keep that wheel in line, So leading out to that, so when quiet time hit, it was very difficult. That's when my flood of emotions came in. But I'm fortunate that I have a strong family support as well, and I had professionals that I reached out to talk through it as well. That helped me. I'm very thankful for all of that as well. But yeah, it can be overwhelming. But if you have the proper systems in place, you can talk it through and get it out, and that's so important. And I would encourage anybody to do that. And there again, and I'm not a person that hides my spirituality, and so I'm very comfortable, talking about God, and I know God was there and is still there and continues to be there, and so conversations with God, conversations with Alex and Dustin, there is no doubt that I look to them for guidance each and every day. And I'll go back to in those moments where things are seeing bleak, I honestly look to the DeMonte and Hamsey families and think there's nothing, that I'm going through that even compares at all to what they're going through, right? I'm a human being, so I'll get through the moment, but I'm able to check myself pretty quickly and, realize that whatever I'm feeling, it doesn't even compare, and that'll bring you into a decent place as well.
Do you guys have a chaplaincy program?
Yes, we do. So we're very grateful for our chaplains, and as Bern was saying, because he's very big into wellness too. Right when the event happened, and from that point on, we had such a support from our peer support groups, and you have to realize too that when you have something like that, you can't rely on your own peer support team because they're going through the crisis themselves, So we're very fortunate that we were able to reach out to the peer support groups throughout the, for not just law enforcement, but first responder, family in Connecticut. And we had a lot of people there, and our chaplains, and our chaplains are there all the time. They go out on ride-alongs. They're just there for you, and very blessed to have those great people along with us as well. For those that want it,
So let's fast forward to today, and let's go back. I mean, I know why you stayed.
Yes.
Because that's you.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't leave.
Yeah.
As I said to you,
yeah.
The last day of your job, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And I saw, from a distance, the development of leadership that you have done. And I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have set your agency up through resiliency to keep going very strong.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's great. And listen, I've replaced the word I a long time ago with we, and for me, I'm a big believer in, when we came into this profession, when I came into it's a paramilitary structure, and you have the pyramid, and for me, I believe in flipping that pyramid upside down. And when you're in the leadership positions and the higher you go, you're really supporting and being there for everybody else, and holding up. There's a time and place for it to flip back in a crisis situation or emergency situation. So we as a team at the PD, we started to really invest in succession planning, setting people up for the next phase, and so I had been setting those succession planning up with them, getting proper training for them, getting the resources into play, and really goal setting and what do you want to do next. And, because listen, there's going to be people that are going to take that agency further than I could ever even imagine, and it's going to happen right now. I'm going to watch it happen, And I had the pleasure of serving with 2 great deputy chiefs, and I was kind of thinking that, okay, that's great. I'm going to get to possibly look at moving on. This is pre-incident. And both of those individuals end up retiring to become chiefs of their own agencies. And I said, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, right? Like, I need to hear. But that opened up the door for 2 other deputies to come in and able to keep that succession planning going and all that. And yes, there was no way I was going to leave those great people, that great agency, that great community, the families, until the proper pieces were in place. And that's where it is now. So we have a great deputy chief that just stepped in as interim. I'm very, very proud that I was able to serve with him, and I'm really looking forward to him taking the reins over permanently there. And they're just set up for such great success there. They're an excellent agency as it stands, but they're going to be moving to new heights for sure, and it's going to allow for more growth inside the agency as well. There's other people in line for promotions. And look, they're amazing. I can't tell you enough how proud I am of all of them. And not proud of them, I'm proud that I got to serve with them, And I'm going to miss them a whole bunch. And I started to realize one of the things when I was going through my decision process was I realized that they didn't need me any longer. I need them, like, that's where it's at. And that's when I started to say, hey, it's time to, to start thinking about the agency moving forward. And they're fast. I think, Bern, I said it one other time, I think I've always said, if you want to run fast, you got to run with people that are faster than you, and those are a fast group of people. And what I started to realize is I better get the heck out of the way before they run me down, So, so they're set up, they're in a great position, and I'm looking forward to, I'm their biggest cheerleader. I've always have been, and now I get to be their biggest fan and just kind of to watch them skyrocket,
Yeah, and I think that, what you started is, so the acting chief, we went to Xavier together, high school. So I was talking to him that day, and he's already ready.
Oh.
Because I took his picture. I said, I'm sending it off to Xavier. Oh, yeah. He's like, you're on the board. I'm like, yeah, I'm sending it off so they could do a spotlight on you. And he's like, hey, we got to get some programs in down there. We got to get some of those Xavier men to be cops. I said, yeah, but they all go to Middletown. He says, let's get them to Bristol. I said, whatever we can do, So it's been great. And again, another testament for how much your community loves you is, so I show up, I said, let me try to hit the sweet spot. It was 10-1. Who has a public send-off where you're just standing there greeting people? I thought I was waiting for tickets for a rock concert, right? And it was like a who's who, and there's, and it wasn't all cops. There was a lot of thank yous. I stood by for a while, and the thank yous, the hugs, the love, the real thing. And you can say that it is a community-based thing.
Yeah.
But leadership dictates the ability for people to thrive in that environment, right? So with that, why don't we do some thank yous? First and foremost, thanks to recognizing the chiefs out here. I call them your brat pack.
Yeah. Are they able to come over here real quick?
Yeah,
and just get on
come
camera.
on.
I mean,
Come on, guys.
Come
on.
These are the guys here, and I'd appreciate if they just kind of come over here real quick.
No, definitely.
And get behind.
Definitely.
No, it means a lot.
Because it was a pleasure. I reached out to Mac and
Of
Scott.
course
and
they
boom.
want.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Because these men that are coming in right now played a big part after everything that happened in Bristol, and helping Brian and his team get through it by bringing their officers and giving support.
Can't believe you guys came here,
brother. Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming, man.
Love you.
Thanks for coming. We'll probably do a picture.
Yeah, let's
Thanks
let's
for
stay
coming,
in
man.
pride.
Appreciate it.
Stay here for the rest of this. Let's
Thank you for coming.
just finish. Please stay here for the rest. We're going to keep it quick. We're going to do some more thank yous.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Here they
So,
are.
well, first and foremost, my thanks to all of you. I appreciate you guys and love you so much. Thank you for being there. And you've been there for me all along throughout my whole career. So, I'm so appreciative of that. And that night and afterwards, I'm so grateful to every single one of you. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm gonna miss serving with you a whole bunch. So. We're definitely not saying goodbye to you. You didn't get rid of me, right? You're not getting rid of me. I'm just saying, but
got you on a bunch of policy boards.
I appreciate that a whole bunch. And I think I want to thank you guys too for giving me an opportunity to come here today, and I appreciate it a whole bunch. And I know there's probably a lot more to the whole story, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of talk about it a little bit. And I do want to say to the first and foremost to all the great people that are serving on the front lines in whatever capacity that is. It's truly remarkable what you do. It's a noble a thing that you do. I truly believe in that calling, and the fact that you and your family serve and sacrifice. Thank you for that. I'm so honored and privileged to have had the opportunity to serve with you for 30 years, and you're going to continue to serve on. And for those that are looking to serve, you feel that calling, I recommend highly that you answer it. Truly grateful for all of you out there. As I said, I'm a franchise player, so I did my 30 years plus 2 weeks in the great city of Bristol, Connecticut, and I'm so incredibly grateful for you, Bristol, for the whole 30 years and 2 weeks, but most importantly, for your support and coming out and your continued support. I'm grateful for every one of you, and I'm gonna miss serving with you, and I want to thank you for the opportunity and the privilege of serving you. And to the men and women of the Bristol Police Department, I have so much love for you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve with you, and for those that I had the opportunity to serve with before you went on. Honored. I can't say enough, and I'm so thankful to you, and I'm going to miss you a whole bunch. This is day 3 of retirement, and I have a ton of separation anxiety. So continue to serve well, be well. I'm so grateful for all of you. I love you much, and Dustin and Alex, God bless you, love you, miss you. And to the Hamzy and DeMonte families, we're forever connected. But I'm so grateful for you too, and thank you for your strength and your inspiration. I appreciate you all very much, and tremendous amount of love for everybody. That's the theme today, and a lot of thank you. So thank you very much.
Don't forget the family.
It's funny, right? Because the family's huge, and they're incredible. I am so blessed, fortunate to have a great family. So to my wife and son, my wife who's been on with me this entire ride, for over 30 years, thank you, and to my wonderful son, I appreciate you, buddy, and so grateful to you too. So thank you guys for being there. Appreciate it a whole bunch.
There have been many chiefs in the state of Connecticut. I've worked for some great ones, but I will tell you, there's never been one that's touched my heart like you.
Thank you, brother. And that means a lot to me. That means a lot.
May be gone, but you will never, ever be forgotten.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that.
I love you.
Appreciate you. I love you too. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, thank you very much for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Guys, thank you all so much for hitting that share button. Thank you for continuing to pray for these incredible men and women who serve and protect our communities and our country. God bless you all. God bless America.
God bless you. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.